The year is 1942, and the United States is now at war on two different fronts with both Japan and Germany. Practically every industry within its borders has shifted focus to aid in the war effort, and Hamilton Watch Company of Lancaster, Pennsylvania is no different, having ceased production of civilian models to produce timepieces for the US military. While today, Hamilton is considered a Swiss company, its origins are American, and its history is deep-rooted in 20th century Americana. Even after the war, Hamilton would go on to produce watches for the US military for another 4 decades. Today, we take a look at a watch from Hamilton that is an homage to the field watches of its own history. So join me as we take a look at the Khaki Field Mechanical. There are many different collections in the Hamilton product lineup. Among them is the Khaki collection, which are all in essence military-style watches, some of which are more field and some of which are more aviation-inspired. Although many of the watches in the Khaki lineup are more hybrids between dress and field-style watches. The Khaki King is a good example of this. But the Khaki Field Mechanical is not one of those. It's a purpose-built homage to the watches Hamilton produced for the US military from the 1960s to the 1980s. In short, it's all business. Now, here is the Khaki Mechanical. The case itself is stainless steel, with a brushed texture. This texture continues throughout the watch, including the back, with the exception of the polished case back. As you would expect on a Hamilton, the case has a very nice feel to it. The metal feels solid, no rough or sharp edges. I would say that it feels robust. While it's not a watch you would want to abuse, it feels like it could take the punishment of wearing it day to day. This specific model has a khaki green dial. Although olive green might be a more appropriate description, as it has just as much gray to its color as green. I normally love a green dial, but this one is a little dull to me. But it is fitting with the style. The accent color of the dial is white. There's both an inner and outer chapter rings for both 12 and 24-hour indices, as would be expected in a field-style watch. The watch has syringe-like hands for both the hour and minute. They are also in white with white loom applied. You can also see the Hamilton logo, as well as the Khaki Mechanical branding on the dial. And at the very bottom, you can see the ever-important Swiss-made marker. In place of the 3 on the dial, you have a small date window. It has black text with a white background. The entire design of the dial is very simple, yet very easy to read, which again is the point of a field-style watch. It's supposed to be more of a robust tool than a piece of jewelry. Also at the 3 is a signed crown. The crown is a little larger than you'd expect for a watch of this size. Again, that is keeping with tradition, as it is easier to manipulate with gloves on. And now the good news. The watch is both hackable and hand winding. But the bad news is, it's only hand winding. As if you hadn't already figured that out from the name. But it is worth mentioning again because a hand winding watch is not necessarily for everyone. The crown is nice and tight, and gives a nice tactile feel and audible click when you wind it. The crystal is sapphire. And it may be hard to see, but it does have a very slight dome shape to it, adding to the vintage aesthetic. The strap on the Khaki Mechanical is probably the best I have seen on a simple field-style watch. Instead of the nylon material that you would normally expect, the exterior of this strap is a khaki green canvas, reminiscent of a military duffel or sea bag. Now, I'm not exactly a fan of the color of this strap, but I am a fan of the back of the strap, which is a nice leather which makes it much more comfortable to wear. And I am a fan of the durability of this strap. You can definitely see some wear marks on the back leather as this watch has seen some use, but if you look at the canvas side, it actually looks pretty good. On one end of the strap, you can see that the holes are riveted, aiding in the durability and ease of use. On the other side, you have a signed buckle with a mixture of both canvas and metal loops. Now, let's talk loom. The loom is good. It's not the best, but it's by far not the worst I've ever seen. The hands are very distinguishable, and there are small dots applied at each hour marker. One of the things I really like is the loom applied to the second hand. Instead of just applying loom to the head or the tail of the second hand, it is applied to most of the shaft as well as the head. And now the dimensions of the watch. It's 38mm wide without the crown, 42 width. Lug to lug is 47, and thickness is just under 10mm, making this thinner than some quartz watches I have. Strap width is 20. The watch wears pretty good. It's one of those where you almost forget you have it on. You definitely notice how thin it is, as well as how lightweight it is, which I think is around 60 grams. And while the width of the watch is a little on the small side, it definitely wears larger, mostly due to its longer lugs. And you can't talk about a mechanical watch without mentioning its movement and accuracy. For reference, this uses an ETA 2804-2, which generally beats around 28,000 beats per hour. For reference, most Seiko 5s run around 21,000 beats per hour. So in comparison, it'll beat a little faster and the hand will run just a little bit smoother. And as to the accuracy, the specific watch usually runs about 7 seconds fast a day, which is pretty good. And speaking of movements, I have found the watch to be a little on the loud side. Now it's not Timex loud, mind you, but I have found it to be noticeable through the day, even when it's about this distance from my ears. It may have to do with the faster beat rate, or it just may be loud, I'm not sure. Now, if I had to buy this watch again, I would probably go for the black dial version. I normally prefer a little bit of color to my watches, but that olive green dial is just a little too olive for me, which makes changing the straps and dressing it up just a little bit kind of difficult. So I think the black dial version would probably be more versatile. But here are a few examples. These are actually 2 straps I put on my Weekender Chrono a few weeks ago. Now, I think the black leather strap actually looks pretty good with that green dial. But the green leather strap that I like so much on the Weekender just doesn't really look right on this. Now, Hamilton makes some absolutely beautiful field-style watches, although maybe field-inspired style would be a better term, as some of them are verging on dress watches. But if you want a more pure, rugged field-style watch, then the Khaki Field Mechanical is one of the best ones out there. But let's talk price. I believe that the Khaki Mechanicals usually run around $260 to $300. With that in mind, the question is, would I recommend this watch? And my answer would be yes, but only if you're someone that values a Swiss-made watch, or if you're someone that values the historic connection Hamilton has, or you want something very thin and you don't care that you can only hand wind it. Then most definitely I say take a look at this watch. I think you would be very happy with it. However, if you don't care about Swiss craftsmanship, or you simply don't want to pay this much, then there are a lot of other options out there. There are a lot of field-style quartz watches out there, and if you're specifically looking for an automatic, there's always the Seiko SNKs and SNZG series. As for myself, I'm still on the fence about hand winding, and that olive green dial I haven't yet warmed up to. But there's no denying that this is a fantastic watch. In many ways, the Hamilton of today is connected to its past by name only. Yet I do appreciate that they try to honor their legacy as well as their part in American history in their many watch designs. The tagline of the company today reads, "American Spirit, Swiss Precision," and I think that that just might be the best of both worlds. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about the green khaki dial. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe.